Now, earlier in his term, President Trump tried to make a deal with Foxconn. Now, that deal would have them bring a potential of thousands of jobs into Wisconsin. Now, that deal was touted as being amazing for the state and for, taxpayers and homeowners in the region. Now, the reality, of course, far different from what it was billed. Uh, we were told that it was going to be a high tech manufacturing hub built on 3,000 acres of farmland south of Milwaukee. Now, that would create as many as 13,000 good paying jobs. And this is what Trump said for amazing Wisconsin workers as early as 2022. So now he went and made this announcement with Scott Walker uh, and said, "Oh, it's gonna be tremendous. We're gonna have 13,000 jobs for this amazing workers. Great deal, great deal." Now that deal turned out to be, of course, a debacle in which $4.5 billion were given to this company in order to have them create basically what is a handful of jobs. Now, Bloomberg Businessweek explained back in February that shortly after Trump's visit in June of 2018, which in this visit he touted this plant, that things started to fall apart and actually had gotten even worse. Now, they said that a Foxconn manager at the factory, which then only had about 60 people working there, abruptly called about 15 of them, all interns, into a room to say that they should seek other employment because there just wasn't enough work to hire them on full time. This was according to multiple people present. So already, that that factory should have been at least partly built, and they should have had more than 60 people there. They had only 45 people that were actually working full time, and then 15 interns, which they immediately got rid of. Why? Well, we don't have work for you guys. Well, no, wait, you should. There was $4.5 billion of investment. Where's the work? Where's the work? Now, two sources recall the manager telling the group that there were a number of forces outside the company's control affecting the Wisconsin project. A number of the interns who received praise from Trump were stunned. Here's their response, quote, "It was upsetting for a lot of people," said James Pittman, one of the former interns. "They had hyped a lot up. We were used as a publicity stunt." Well, wonderful. But that's just an example of the disaster of this project. There's more. It's not just the workers that are angry. It's not just the taxpayers that are angry because they apparently got screwed over as well. But also, you had homeowners. But also, you had homeowners in the area uh, in which the plant was supposed to be built that are also super angry. Now, the Racine Journal reports that several residents of Mount Pleasant, Wisconsin, are now upset that they were threatened with eminent domain unless they agreed to sell their property to help with the construction of a Foxconn plant that has repeatedly failed to meet expectations for delivering jobs. So now think about this, right? So this is amazing. And I don't know if enough people stress this point. So Foxconn is a Chinese-owned company, right? So they make iPhones in China. So they come up, and I think I remember reading about how a lot of their plants had suicide nets because people were literally throwing themselves off the buildings because the working conditions were and the pay were so terrible. And that was in China. And I believe Mitt Romney had went over there and said, "Boy, these are great factories. We would love one in the United States." Well, now Trump jumped on that, and as well as Scott Walker, former governor of Wisconsin. And so, they bring Foxconn over here. They offer them billions of dollars in tax incentives to try and build in this area. And again, since it's a Chinese company, this is where it gets a little awkward. The government is saying, "Give us your land, American citizens, so the Chinese company can build a plant here. Either sell your home or we're just gonna take it." Think about how messed up that is, especially for a president that said, "America first, America first. Now now give your land to the Chinese." I mean, that is super messed up, right? So now, here's the thing. As the Wall Street Journal reported, contractors working for Foxconn had bulldozed about 75 homes in Mount Pleasant and cleared hundreds of farmland acres in preparation for the construction of the plant. So they've already knocked down 75 people's homes to build this Chinese plant. Now, two former homeowners tell the Journal Times that thanks to the deal, they had lost their house. Uh, now, in 2017, they were told that they would either agree. This is Sean and Sarah Mayer. That they were said that they would either agree to sell their home or have it seized via eminent domain. However, after the Mayers sold their home, it was revealed that Foxconn might not even need their land to build a planned road to the facility. So, turns out they might not even need it. After you uproot yourself, sell your home, etc., and see it knocked down, turns out, oh, oops, might not need it after all. Sorry about that. Now, the response here from Sean says, I'll always be a little bitter. Just because we elect the officials that railroaded us on this. He said, I did my homework when they said Foxconn is coming. Two places they said they were going to build, and they didn't. So, again, this is somebody who knew about this, who knew ahead of time, like Foxconn screws people over. No, we don't want to sell our house. No, we don't. But here we are. We're getting told by the government that we need to sell our house or get it stolen through eminent domain. We don't have any options, so we're stuck in this situation. And we know how it's going to end up. We know that it's a con job to begin with. But what do? We're stuck. We're stuck. And of course, Foxconn did exactly what they said, what Sean had said they were going to do. Nothing. Con is literally in their name. This is how they work. So now, industry analyst Alberto Moel says to the Journal Times that this kind of poor planning and failure to meet promises is typical of how Foxconn operates. And he describes Foxconn's Wisconsin deal as nothing more than a snow job. Well, of course, because nobody does a snow job quite like Donald Trump and Governor Scott Walker. Their promises to the Wisconsin taxpayer who handed this corporation billions of dollars is look, their promises were nothing more than hot air. And this is what we expect from Republicans and their corporate donors. And this is what we see. We also see it from Democrats, but not quite as much because, while Republicans are 100% owned by corporate donors, Democrats, I'd say about 50% owned for the most part, maybe 75%. But yeah, look, this is a disaster. But this is unfortunately what happens when you A, trust President Trump, B, trust Republicans in general in order to try to make your life better. And you trust a company which has a proven track record of underperforming, underwhelming, I should say, basically not living up to their promises. And unfortunately, when are people going to learn? When are people going to learn that you don't just hand out money to corporations in the hopes that they'll build something, but actually have like rules and agreements ahead of time before they get the money? They never do that. They never think about that because these politicians are in league with the donors, in league with these corporations, and all get rich because of it. It's the corruption.